A profound SELF strategy that we use at Breathe for Change is called mindful listening. Mindful listening aligns to the social emotional learning competencies of social awareness and relationship skills, and is absolutely critical to teach both students and teachers so that we can embody effective listening skills in our lives. This practice of mindful listening is actually a protocol that we use with middle and high school students and adults as well. I would definitely differentiate it for younger students, but it's something that we can introduce the concept of with the little ones at a very, very early age. So how this process works is there's two partners. One person is the speaker and one is the mindful listener. The speaker gets a certain amount of time, which you determine for yourself, let's say for example 3 minutes, to share on any prompt that you facilitate. So for example, if it's in the middle of or in the beginning of the school year, you could say something like, we're going to do a mindful listening exercise and the prompt is, what are your goals for yourself for this school year? So they could have 3 minutes to talk about that. Now the speaker during that 3 minutes is going to speak the entire time without interruption. The mindful listener is simply there to hold space and witness. They're not saying yes or no or I agree or why did that happen? They're literally just there to be present so that the other person can be heard and guide themselves to come to their own understandings through speaking. Now, this is something that is often a really challenging concept because it's so rare that any of us ever get the opportunity to truly have the space to speak and or simply listen without needing to give advice or feedback or any opinions about what the person is saying. So after the person gets the 3 minutes, then you would have the mindful listener, when the bell goes off, reflect back what they heard for a certain amount of time. Usually I would do, if it's 3 minutes, maybe 1 minute. If it's 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 10, maybe 3. And I would have the mindful listener see themselves as a mirror. So they're not there to give advice again. They're there to simply say, this is what I heard you say. And let them know that if they are actually just being present with them, this won't be difficult. So let it be an exploration. So this is something that we do in our trainings, and it's also something that can be so effective for students. And it truly, if prompted in a really thoughtful way, can deepen students' relationships with each other and with themselves, because they'll come to deeper understandings of who they are by having that space. Now with the younger ones, they likely wouldn't be able to speak on their own for 3 minutes or 2 minutes or however many minutes. So one thing to do is I would first just ask them, what does it mean to be a mindful listener? And get them to start thinking about what that word means. And then they can practice doing mindful listening with you as you're teaching. They can listen to each other in conversations in a mindful way. And then once they've gotten more practice with that word and what it means, and more importantly, what it doesn't mean, then you can start introducing more of those protocols like, okay, now we're gonna take 30 seconds and the beautiful partner is going to tell the gorgeous partner about what they love about themselves. And you can do that protocol that way. But something that is very important to practice over and over again, especially with the younger ones, so they understand the concept before you're putting them into the process. So I hope you enjoy this and also use it in your own life, in your own relationships, because it is such a profound opportunity to connect. So here are a few examples of how you can facilitate this practice of mindful listening with actual students in the classroom. I have a big question for you. How many of you are really, really, really good listeners? How many of you are sometimes good listeners? What does it mean to be a good, mindful listener? Are we talking to each other? Is that good listening?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not listening to what anybody else is saying.
Because you're not listening to what anybody else is saying. That's right. What else makes a great mindful listener? Yes.
Having your legs crossed, facing forward with your hands.
So can we do that? Let's get in our mindful listening position. Legs crossed. What else did you say? Fold your hands together and look forward or at the community. Beautiful.
No, it's not my turn.
Do you have another idea? What else makes a mindful listener?
Sit crisscross and listen to your teacher while she's reading.
Eyes on your teacher. Sit crisscross. Listen to your teacher and look at her while she's reading. Beautiful. Does anyone else have any ideas of what it means to be a mindful listener? Yes, and then we'll go to you.
Think about what the person is saying.
Amazing. So that means, that's a word that we use called being present. When we're present, we're really listening deeply to every single word that's coming out of each other's mouth. Is that something that you're willing to try? Awesome. So now, did you want to share? So let's all mindfully listen to Elijah while he's speaking. What makes a mindful listener?
So, go to sleep on your bed, turn off the light, no getting up.
So he's talking about what it's like to be a mindful listener at home when we're about to go to bed. And you're listening to your parents when they invite you to go to sleep. Beautiful. So there's a lot of different ways to mindfully listen. But can we be learning if we're not mindfully listening?
Yes.
Can we? Can you, here, talk, go blah, 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 blah.
No.
Right? If I was talking like that, then I can't learn very well, right? So let's practice our mindful listening position. Ready? Crisscross applesauce.
When are we done?
Soon. There you go. Perfect. And bring your mindful listening hands to your ears. And now we're ready to learn. Great. So we can always come back to this mindful listening position. And when other people are speaking, we can listen with all of our ears and all of our hearts, okay? All right, so we are going to embark on an awesome journey and do this process called mindful listening. When you hear the word mindful listening, what do you think that means?
To be aware of what you're hearing.
To be aware of what you're hearing. Awesome. Anyone want to add to that?
Not zoning out when someone's talking.
Totally, not zoning out when someone's talking, which is, I do that all the time. I don't know if that's familiar to you, but definitely. What?
Being cautious and in the moment.
Being cautious and in the moment, yeah. Being in the moment. How often are you in conversations with people and you're thinking about what you should say to respond, or like what's happening in 2 hours from now, or whatever's going on in your mind? How many of you are ever in that situation? 100% of the time, until right now, because we're about to teach you something awesome. So the intention of mindful listening is it's an actual like protocol, and you're going to get in partners. One partner will be the speaker, and one partner will be the mindful listener. And the intention is for the speaker to get an opportunity to truly, literally just be witnessed and heard by the mindful listener. The mindful listener does not have to think about how to respond or what advice to give, or you're not supposed to think about what's going on in your own life or how you could relate. Oh yeah, I got you, and like nod to guide the conversation. The intention of the mindful listener is literally to witness and to hold space. And so just being like what you said, like totally present with the person. It's like so rare that we get the opportunity to literally just sit with someone and be like, I hear you. And so one thing about this process, and each of you will get the opportunity to do both, be both the speaker and the mindful listener. One thing to note is that when even nonverbal gestures can still guide a conversation. So if you think about it, like if Tui and I are having a conversation and she's like, yeah, my boyfriend like really hurt my feelings. I'm like, oh yeah. And then it's gonna guide, like I'm like on her team, and then she'll probably go down a certain path. But if she's saying like my boyfriend X, Y, and Z, and I just sit with her, and like I allow her to be the guide of her own conversation. Does that make sense? So I'm not nodding, I'm not shaking, I'm not like getting on her team or being offended or thinking about, oh my gosh, what to say. It's literally just whoosh, okay? So what we're going to do is, in a moment you'll get in partners. The first person will have 3 minutes. You're right. 2 minutes. Almost scared you there for a second. To speak about what goals you have for yourself this year. Okay, and we invite you to be as like vulnerable and honest as possible and just be witnessed, okay? So 2 minutes to share, and then the mindful listener will just literally be present during that time, no responding. And after that 2 minutes, I'll ring the sound. So we encourage you to take up all that time. If you notice, oh my gosh, I'm done, like add new layers to the goals that you have. Really just take this as an opportunity to express yourself. And then the mindful listener will have 1 minute to repeat back what you heard, okay? Again, you might be thinking in your head, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna remember all that stuff? Do I get to write this down? Anxiety. No, this is the whole point of this structure, is that if you are actually present, you shouldn't have a problem doing that, okay? So don't worry, let go of any worries. If you have any worries, here, clump them up in a ball right now. Clump them with me, throw them away, no worries. You're gonna have everything you need to be able to reflect back, and you just say, this is what I heard you say. And then I heard you say that da-da-da-da, da-da-da, and you don't need to get the words right. It's just what you heard from simply listening. You're being a mirror, okay? Does this sound cool? Okay, so I want you to each to find a partner, ideally someone that you don't know everything about, like who you don't already know their year-long goals. So find a person right now, and you can just sit like this, knee to knee with a person. Okay, so find each other. Ready? Turn knee to knee. Awesome.
You know each other.
There we go. And you're gonna see me on my cell phone. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. I'm literally just timing you, okay? So whoever feels called to be the speaker first, you can just step up and say, I'll speak first. And once again, the prompt is, what goals do you have for yourself this year? Okay? And then you use all the time until I ring the singing bowl, and then we'll have the person reflect back. Okay, ready, set, 2 minutes, go.
Okay, a year from now?
Yeah.
A year from now, I want to have a budget, so I can stay, go to the like, it's a lot better to be like actively cultivating yourself. I also want to
They said that at work, I think it's good more. So now that's my goal to be like myself. And my goal is to return to my wall. Something else I want to do is I want to start reading more. At least 10 books. Besides like I can read books, but I just get bored. To my driver's license, but so I could like start where I am today. I learned so much about go through some different things and can't go through. I'm not going to be like things.
I hate like
And I just want to travel. I really like traveling, so I feel like traveling would see if I still want to continue. And I really want to an adult.
You can keep adding on.
So that's another thing I have. But I don't know how. I'm probably gonna do like I want to be like all my that's it. I like not because I'm coming too close to you. So I can like connect with that. I'm trying to be able to get and try to get the stuff I want in the future. Yeah, I just need to get more out there. I don't need to get much. I feel like I just trying to see how many jobs I can get to so I can get to my goals as fast as I can. School is the period over and most likely I will have to
You did it. All right. Person who is mindful listening, you now have a minute to just reflect back what you heard. Ready? Go. No, what you heard him say about his.
You don't realize how much you miss when you're like trying to find yourself. Like I'm coming in the now because you really need to connect it. Going the way you're saying. But yeah.
You do or don't
Oh yeah, you want to read those. Because you talk more about the everything else though, so I was like, okay, I got it. But yeah, I can relate because I'm struggling to be like slow.
Awesome. Acknowledge each other for that beautiful share. And now, if you just reflected back, it's now your turn to share your goals for this year for yourself. Ready? Go.
I want to get back into crocheting and knitting. It's comedy. Yeah. During the winter, I'm like in bed watching like Hallmark Christmas movies and just knitting like. But like it's fun because like when you see like a pattern or something, it's like a skill like you never forget. You never forget how to ride a bike. But like if you learn how to crochet, like as soon as you like watch like a TikTok video of how to start, you'll remember how to do it or like create your own patterns. That's what I like. Those are my goals. In college, getting into being is a goal. But like I won't be heartbroken if I don't. So yeah, that's it. We have 20 seconds. I'm trying to stall. Getting into Bing. There's a little consistency to crochet more and saving money.
Amazing. So, mindful listener, now you get to reflect back what you heard them say.
Get better, really good thing, and you have 200 hours of like working and you want to get it so you also traveling from our schools, and we feel like travel, people like to travel, we're going to houses for each other, and we feel like if you can, you would do both of them at the same time.
Amazing. Acknowledge your partner and however feels right for you, whether it's a hug or a high five or a fist bump. And then let's get back into a circle. Come into a circle. Woohoo! So, what was that? Like, what did you learn from that experience? What was that like?
I feel like the partner I had, especially Sam and I, were able to connect at a certain level about self and like understanding how people are constantly looking about how to satisfy other people, but never looking to satisfy themselves. So I realized that that's an issue that most of us have had, and we're looking to really make it a goal to go and finally just pay attention to ourselves rather than listen to the voices outside our heads.
How many of you can resonate with that? It's so important for us to take care of ourselves so that we can literally like do and be how we want to be with other people. So awesome. Who else has something to share?
Alright, so both me and my partner were sort of touching on the fact that like while we are also trying to work on ourselves, we want to work on our skills with talking to other people and stuff. Because I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Because like there's so many people out there and everybody has their own experiences to share, and when you talk to those people, you learn so much about them, but you also learn so much about yourself. You know, I feel like capitalizing on that makes people better people. You know.
Totally. It's like being a mirror for each other. Yeah. Thank you.
I learned from my partner on this that we both, it's like you find like a small connection of like something that y'all want to do and that's in common, and like traveling was one of those. And, like just pets in general, it's nice to know that other people also like things that you like, even though you might not know them, or you can't like really judge people by just the way you look at them.
I love it. Yeah, you can't judge people by just simply looking at it. And how powerful is it to be able to have the depth of conversations that we just had? It's like we have the power to do that every single day in every conversation. It's like a choice. So one thing that I would recommend, I think I've done this so many times, is to teach that process to your friends, and you can almost like, try it out with them and come up with the kind of questions that you want to ask, and it can be, just like you said, an opportunity to like build closer relationships. So thank you all for doing that with me and with each other. It was so powerful, and we'll continue to do it over and over again in different ways with different questions, and just know that it's a tool that you could always take away with any relationship. So thank you. Love you.